Mike Israetel talking about his steroid use. Let's check it
And
out.
it is not true. If you increase your steroids quickly, you're going to gain a shitload of weight. Almost all of it will be body water. And I was even at the time on 100 milligrams per week of tren, which was not fun. Actually, your organs are like the floor of a party with gum and beer.
People have to understand when you cannot just take more stuff to benefit your body from a hormone standpoint. So, for example, I have Hashimoto's. Taking more thyroid hormone will not help me. It's a slow reacting process. One time my Hashimoto's were as high, or my TSH was as high as 100. I had to go to the hospital. Not a good idea. But they couldn't just give me tons of thyroid hormone and have my thyroid dramatically decrease. It decreases over time because it's slow reacting. Much like testosterone, again, all these influencers who take steroids and all that great stuff, not promoting it by any means, but taking more is not a good idea because your levels won't not can definitely go up higher, but that doesn't mean it's a good thing, right? So will estrogen, so are other things. So you're going to cause more harm than good. Less is better than more. Obviously, if you're looking at it from a bodybuilding, stacking steroids to compete versus just your traditional stuff as you age with testosterone replacement therapy, what is it? Therapy, testosterone hormone therapy replacement, whatever. I'm drawing a blank on what it is.
Cigarette butts and people stepping on it. If you haven't used steroids yet, I highly encourage you to never use them. Steroids have
Great
absolutely
advice.
shortened my
Should
predicted
not use them.
lifespan. Is it really worth it? Hey folks, Dr. Mike here for RP Strength, and I'm going to tell you about what
You can find ways to increase your testosterone levels naturally, right? Like obviously if you're on the floor and you don't work out or you drink or you smoke weed or all these things, stop doing those things first. Start exercising, start eating better, see what that does to your natural levels.
taking 3 times less total steroids did to my body. Let me start at the beginning. In the summer of 2024, I did a show prep.
So most likely he's gonna decrease in size, right? He's gonna feel a lot better. He's not gonna be on so much gear that it's just sucking the life out of him.
I was doing competitive bodybuilding back then, and I'm getting back to it very soon. I was doing it not so great. But, insert excuse here.
To each your own. If you want to do competitive bodybuilding, but it's a road to not the best life, and arguably, like anything, it's sports. I wouldn't call competitive bodybuilding a sport, but it's something for younger people with their bodies more resilient. They're going to look better, be more beautiful, get more votes per se when they're younger. When you're older, sorry, I'm not going to be in the NBA if I just all of a sudden start working hard and training for it. My body is, there's a reason why the younger athletes are performing better than the older athletes. Multiple
I got
too.
tons of all of them. I was hurt, my back, my psychology stuff, social support, genetics, the tan, other people, whatever. In any case, I was taking at the time kind of the normal amount of gear, which is slang for steroids and growth hormone and all that stuff, for somebody my size at my level of muscularity, which for me at the time was at a peak total steroid amount per week. Very important unit measurement here per week of about 2,000 total milligrams. Remember that number, 2,000 per week. That was my peak in 2024 and one of my lifetime peaks. I was taking a combination of testosterone, primobolan, aka Primo, which is like very similar to testosterone, but it has a bit fewer side effects. And so you can take more of it to gain more muscle and slightly less side effects. Anavar, oxandrolone, it's an oral drug. And I was even at the time on 100 milligrams per week of tren, which was not fun or good for my health or good for my psychology. But 100 mgs is not a lot of tren, which
Yeah, from all the friends that I've spoken to, bodybuilders who've taken tren, it's insane how depressed, how angry their mood changes, and when they go off, it definitely does something to them. Massive depression, all those things. So, like I said, not a good idea to take this stuff.
which is still too much trim. At that peak, I got a DEXA done just after my last show. And I had me at 233 pounds at 6.3% body fat, which yields a lean mass, fat mass subtracted away from total mass, of about 218 pounds. It also measured me as having 0.4 pounds of visceral adipose tissue, intra-abdominal fat. And I had a...
Intra-abdominal fat is not good. It's bad fat. Obviously, he has very little, 6.3% body fat. Again, very little. He's super lean. You could say jacked, roided up, all that great stuff.
Bone density T-score, like kind of how my bone density compares to other people, of 4.8. The higher, the better on that. The higher that score, the more dense your bones are. All right, those are the stats. Maybe we'll have them up here somewhere. We'll compare them later to what actually happened when I took 1/3 the amount of steroids. For a year after this, I had a low gear phase. It's a little cloudy. I tend to be a little aggro. And I was like, all these big shows.
Just look, low gear, took a break from bodybuilder and half. First was because he had to do that surgery. It was due to all podcasts and stuff was getting booked a lot. I think obviously he also had that big surgery. He might have taken a break from all those things.
If you're not training hard.
He also did really poorly on his bodybuilding show, got a bunch of criticism, and he's gotten tons of criticism lately from his thesis and other things. So let's skip through that. He might be glossing over why.
For my peak, it was 2,000 milligrams per.
So now he could second and get left handle, skin fat cells cut out. During that time, his total androgen load per week varied between 150 and 500 milligrams, and usually between 150 to 250 during the year.
Week. During that time, when I did lower steroids, it was somewhere between 150 milligrams and 500 milligrams. So we're talking about a teeny tiny fraction, at most a quarter. And usually through that year, it was between 150 and 250 milligrams. So very, very, very low amounts compared to my high amount. And 150
So let's
milligrams.
skip through this. Let's come back into his biggest differences he's had.
One of the biggest differences in my body composition, of course, was that 10-pound LBM difference. But it turns out that the vast majority of that is actually body water. How do I reason through this? My strength in my 2024 peak, and I have all those numbers from my RP Hypertrophy app, which remembers all of the strength PRs you've ever hit. Because one click of a button,
great little promo.
You can scroll and has the exact date, sets and reps. Body. As it was in 2025 at 1/3 of the gear. In fact, recently, my upper body has set a couple of PRs, which I couldn't set in 2024. So I'm actually a little bit stronger in my upper body on 1/3 the steroids, which is kind of a big deal. My legs are still substantially, though it's not.
Arguably, right, like his strength, he is much older, right? Like he's not going to get massive strength gain at his age. Obviously, if you go on gear, you're not on gear, you're going to get more strength gains and so forth. But it's not like he's dropping out of gear. He's still on it. He's just reducing it.
Crazy amount weaker, substantially, notably weaker. But I stopped training them for a year and the strength is coming back up real quick. It's just not there yet. So a few pounds of muscle difference is definitely accounted for by my now smaller legs. It's visually apparent. It's apparent through strength.
He obviously wasn't lifting his legs for a while, so he lost strength. So big surprise. You take a break, stop working out, stop training, and don't do anything, you're definitely going to lose strength and size and all that.
When the visuals, the DEXA, and the strength line up, it's a muscular difference, for sure. Maybe 2 to 4 pounds of something like that, maybe up to 5 pounds of leg mass is the difference. And I will be regaining pretty much all that size here in the next couple of, I could do it in a couple of months, but I got to do more show prep dieting. So next couple of years, for sure, next year, I'll probably regain all that leg size. I actually have my numbers for strength to hit, to know that I've regained all the size, and I'm not that far off, which is really sweet. And we can confidently conclude that because rep strength is almost the same, in fact, a little higher now in my upper body, that upper body musculature really hasn't changed much. If anything, I have more now. I'm not so confident in that, but like it's basically the same.
Yeah, it's probably
So
minimal.
leg size is
Definitely the
probably
same,
2 to 5 pounds smaller.
which is because
Upper
he
body
wasn't
is
using
the
it.
same.
Upper body is
So,
still
but
training.
we have 10 pounds of LBM to explain. Where the hell is there 5 pounds of muscle somewhere in my body that? Well, no, we accounted for all the muscle already. That's a 5 pounds of muscle or five.
Yeah, so it's basically water weight. Obviously, you're taking steroids, oil base. This is why people get puffy, why it's easier to spot people who are on
Pounds of
roids.
something, lean body mass. It's
So let's
not
skip
muscle.
through.
Are
It's
really
water
detrained
weight,
and
shocker.
steroids and high doses
So why are there huge diminishing returns for steroids? So it sounds like it didn't get as much more actual muscle
give
growth.
really diminish. If I was on 2,000,
Mostly true because I was simply on neither amount long enough. If I had to stay on 2000 for like 6 months, I would have grown plenty of muscle more than staying on 750 6 months. Again, like I said, there's eventually you can only go so high with testosterone levels, hormone levels. Your body's going to have to get used to them, adjust. This is why they stack multiple steroids, bodybuilders. But, you know, eventually there's going to be diminishing returns. There's going to be more estradiol. Your body's going to go back to try to get to homeostasis, get to more of a balance. So it's trying to fight that process. So more is never really better.
milligrams plus for 6 months, I would have grown plenty more muscle, pounds, tons of other thing is just the more gear you take, the better things go. And it is not true. You will add muscle. Most of it is going to be just water weight. You will add LBM. Most of it is going to be water weight. Some is going to be muscle, but you got to crank that gear for a while to add it as muscle. And it's just not as much muscle as most people think. So if you're running roughly 750 milligrams of weekly gear, like, man, I get up to 1.5 grams, right? 1,500, I'm just going to be massive. Up, 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 up. That might not be the case. If you're young, you start a gear way too soon, and you're still gaining the preponderance of your natural muscle mass, yes, you will gain tons of muscle between those two, but that's mostly you would have gained the muscle anyway had you stayed at 750. There's just not that big of a carryover. As you go higher and higher in steroids, there's a curvilinear effect. If I had ramped up to 2,000 plus milligrams recently, for just a few months, I could almost certainly get as much lean body mass as I could in my July 2020.
The downside is he's not talking about how much more damaging this is to your health when you increase this amount. Just look at all the deaths from bodybuilders in the past who continue to use at older ages.
24 peak. Shit, if I did it for a few weeks, I could probably hit that 233 at 6% body fat. Most of it would be body water and not muscle. But the side effects, the health downsides, the psychiatric downsides, psychological downsides are way higher with 3 times the gear. My health was good in both respects, and I'm getting some blood work done at some point soon. I'll match those. Hadn't yet. Those. And
so let's go insights. If you're already using or going to use no matter what, I highly recommend you start super low. Yeah, you should always take low and build up, see where it goes, get your blood work done, check that stuff. Adding something like primobolan or not more tests, side effects will come.
effects.
You guys
Blood
can
work is
watch
good.
more of this
So you just
and
maintain
about all the details he kind of breaks down. But at the end of the day, like
1,000 milligrams.
you know, like he started off, you shouldn't take at all. Take care of yourself from the start by working out, doing things that will help your natural levels of testosterone and maintain it as long as possible. If you do get into bodybuilding, you want to compete at a high level and you think that this is the only option, go get a coach, go get some help. Do it correctly because so many people do it incorrectly. Too many people to take way too much than they should. I bought a whole video course. Tom Platz was one of my instructors in one of my certifications that I got, and he did a video with the top 10 bodybuilders, and their faces were decoded, voices were decoded, but you know, you can obviously tell who they are based off their physiques. And they break down everything they use or took or what they shouldn't take. They're good, they're bad, and it's a very fascinating video. I don't even know if it still exists anymore. It's quite some time ago. But again, it's just, is it really worth it to you to just get up on stage in a little bikini, flex for a little while to win a trophy? Yes, nowadays you can sell products, you can push goods, you can push services, you can say how amazing you are because you look a certain way. But remember, just because somebody looks that way doesn't mean they have any clue about what they're talking about, how to train people, what supplements they should take, or any of that stuff. Most of the time, it's the gear that they're taking and obviously the hard work they're putting in the gym. I don't want to take that away. You can't just take gear and turn into a monster on stage, but the downside is if you take enough of it over a period of time, your physique will change dramatically and you'll look way different. I have seen this across the board on so many people that when I was in the fitness industry transformed their physique, and I would argue their physique was not very good to begin with, but they just put on so much mass and got so lean that eventually they looked so freakish that their physique was something to be more in shock and awe with people. But again, not worth it. Health is far more valuable. Living as long as possible is far more better for your life, for your longevity, for your happiness than just taking a bunch of stuff just look freakish. Be better. But hopefully this is helpful. Hopefully you got some insight. Obviously, you can go to his channel, watch more of Israetel and his breakdown on reducing his steroid use. All right, take care. Bye.